Alright guys, Matt from Just Wrench It here, and today I'm going to show you how I shop on Copart. Now, if you don't know, I'm here on Copart and I'm filming this here, and I have the screen recording, so if I'm not always looking at you, I apologize. My attention is diverted. But I'm here on Copart.com, as you can see here. I'm on my page I'm logged into, and what I'm at here is my watch list. Before the video, I went through and I picked some vehicles that I thought were noteworthy and we could talk about. I'm probably not going to hit them all, but they're here for examples. So, if you don't know, Copart is like an insurance auto auction kind of thing. There can be donated vehicles and things like that too, but predominantly it's insurance wrecks. So they're salvage titles most of the time. And buying options vary by state. In some states you need a broker. In some states you can buy anything. In some states you can only buy salvage. It depends. They have a map somewhere here on the site, and you can research that and find out what your local options are. But in my case here, I'm in Ohio. I can, without a broker, I can buy salvage vehicles. So that's predominantly what we're looking at, is the wrecked ones, since that's my specialty. So to get into this, the first one I want to quickly talk about here is this Chevy Colorado that I have here. Now, I'm doing this intentionally. I'm recording this the day before the auction. I will not, due to scheduling, be able to actually record the auction to show you what these vehicles go for. But it's the day before, the night before usually is when the pre-bidding gets hot, and you'll get a better idea of what the bid looks like for the vehicle. It's always going to go up at auction time a little bit, but most of the time on some of these older vehicles, things most people would be looking at, they stay pretty reasonable to the pre-bid amount. So as we can see right here, it's sitting at $650. There are fees associated with sales. I'll do another video sometime covering that, or you can check out some of the other videos by some of the other YouTubers that cover this content. But as we sit and look here, we have this Chevy Colorado. Now, it's not that bad from what I can tell. It's primarily front-end damage. If you look here, primary damage is listed as front end. Above that, if you follow my mouse, it does say that it runs and drives. It gives you the mileage, tells you it's an Ohio certified title of salvage. So that's important, because if you buy an out-of-state vehicle, there's an added inspection that needs to be done to verify the VIN in most states when a vehicle comes to that state from another state. So there are ways around that, and I can tell you about that more later. But just so you know, if you're new, it's better to buy one that's from your state already. So as we're looking at the damage here, the driver's side fender looks good. I don't see any damage there. You see, I can't tell. The pictures aren't always great, and I think they use different cameras. Like, some vehicles seem to have better pictures. Some vehicles seem to have grainier pictures, so maybe they're using different cameras. I can't tell here if that's a bow in the hood or not. I want to say no, because the rest of it looks good. Okay, I think that bow is maybe from the fact that this center member here, which probably attaches to the core support and the hood latch, I'm guessing that's bent. It looks like it's bent. And you can tell that because when we come down here and look at the other pictures, they never open the hood. That's a dead giveaway on Copart. If they can open the hood, they will. and then you would see the engine. If they don't have a picture of the hood being open, it's because they couldn't open it. So, that being said, here we are. Here's one of their main pictures of the damage that they want to go by. Click on HD here. That just gives us a slightly better resolution there. Okay, so what we see here is, and I can't follow with the mouse, but you look at the big picture and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The edge of the fender there has a flare to it. It's got a little bend in it. If we look back at it from this angle, it doesn't look that bad. It's definitely fixable. Like, whatever dent or bend is in that fender is completely fixable. So we don't need fenders. I've checked the lip on the hood. I think that's just dirt from like a bra or something. I can't tell if those are actual, like, I don't think they're rust spots. They might be, but I can't tell. The picture's resolution is so horrible. I want to say they're just dirt spots, but you never know. Okay, they could be rust. Assume they are, but even if it's rust, that level of damage would be fixable. The lip looks fine. We do see some bending in here under what would be the grill and the headlight area. Mainly here, this is the best picture. Mainly you see some here where the passenger side headlight was. Yeah, I mean, this is really fixable. I don't know if this is like an oil cooler or what these aluminum lines here are. The one definitely looks bent here that's attached to the radiator. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know Colorado's in and out, so I'm guessing on this. I would think maybe, I know trans coolers sometimes get run up here, but this doesn't look like a trans cooler setup. Usually that looks like a smaller radiator or it's built into the radiator, so that's not it. All of the electrical connections, from what we can tell, we'll click in here on the HD. I don't see any breaks. It looks like they were able to unhook all the headlight connections and everything's fine there. So what we need here is headlights, a grill. This bumper is fixable. It's got some scuffs and dings, but I mean, it's not even dented that bad. It just got scraped on the top here. That's completely fixable. This would be a great buy. If I had to guess, what is this? It's a 2006. It might go for like $1,500. The estimated retail values on this are never right. If anything, the value they're giving you is of a good vehicle, not a salvage in the similar condition, miles and stuff like that the vehicle you're looking at is. So you're not going to get this for it. It's not going to be worth this once you fix it. But then again, a vehicle is worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. So what I do then is I first look at junkyards. In my area, my best pick apart that I like going to, I don't like going to the other scrap yards as much because they gouge you on prices a lot. I mean, LKQ, some things still can be expensive, but the regular junkyards where they pull parts for you, man, they throw a premium on some of that stuff, and sometimes it's easier just to buy a new replacement than to go through them. So I like LKQ better. That's just me. You could check those other options, but I check here first. This is going to be your source for cheap replacement parts if they have it. So then we come here. I'm on the vehicle inventory page, which, if you don't know, LKQ has this. I'm on the date and location. And so then I put in call, and now it's bringing up all kinds of stuff. Okay, Colorado. Might as well type it all in. Okay, and I know this because I was just down there the other day for parts for the Sonoma. And there are two down there. Now, this one's been gutted a bit. You can see the bumpers dinged a little bit, but you get an idea here of what we're supposed to look like. That's interesting. Let me go back. Are we missing? Okay, yeah, this vehicle doesn't have the fender flares. Okay, so, yeah, so it doesn't really look that bad. The headlights look like they might be a two-piece. I don't know if that trim just kind of separates it and they're actually one. Who knows? But I do know there's some Colorados down there. I don't know if they have headlights. Still, I doubt it. Headlights tend to go quick because they can get expensive. But as you can see on this one, this has a slightly different style bumper. It's got fenders on it. You don't know what's left on these vehicles unless you've gone down there and kind of documented, but you do get the available on information, and what that tells you is that the vehicle was put out onto the lot on this date, which then tells you how long it's been out. So these have been out since, what is that, June of 2019. So they've been out there for a few months. I looked at them. They've been picked through kind of thoroughly, but you might be able to get a grill. I don't know. But you can check that out. That's always where I go to first. When I did the Audi, quick fun fact on the side, I ended up buying my hood from Rock Auto here. And then, like, on a subsequent trip, because I checked LKQ and they didn't have any cars for me at that time. Then I bought the hood on Rock Auto, paid extra shipping because the big parts cost money on the shipping, a lot. And let's say it's the Extreme. I think it is. Anyhow, so then, like, it wasn't even a couple months, it was a couple weeks later, I go down to LKQ and there is an Audi with a hood and grill and everything that I needed, and it's actually the same fucking color. Like, are you kidding me? So, and I would have got that light years cheaper. I think I paid like $200 for that hood. But anyway, I digress. So here we are. We went to Rock Auto. We sorted by Chevy. We sorted by the year. We sorted by the make. And then I just chose the 3.5 because I think that's the Extreme. I don't know. Does it say the engine? Yeah, it is the 3.5. Ha! I was right. Okay, so then you can go in here and see what's available easily. I like Rock Auto because it's a nice itemized list and you can kind of see what you're going to have easily available and you can see what you're going to have a hard time finding. So, on this, the headlamp assembly. It's looking like, I can't tell if that's a two-piece. Left with black bezel, except Extreme. Without Extreme package. Here, left with Extreme, right with Extreme. Okay, so I don't know about that top piece. That might actually be under, like, turn signals or something. But here we are, $40.79 plus shipping for both of the Extreme headlights. That's not too horrible. Let's see if that's a driving lamp. No, it doesn't look like it. That's fog lights. Turn signals? Turn lamp assembly. That's showing the rear lights. Okay, so you can kind of play with that a bit. But we're looking at, okay, so for sure, we're talking, you know, $50 a piece for the headlights or whatever. And so then we look at the grill. And we can get, yeah, obviously here's the Extreme only. What is that? Just the insert? That's just the insert. We don't care about that. Two-piece grill fused. Sometimes this stuff can vary by model, guys, so you got to kind of look at that and see. This looks like it's missing all the chrome. That's weird. I guess they both are. So the chrome's probably going to come separate somehow. So that's kind of crappy. Okay, yeah, it says down here at the bottom, replacement design, all chrome plated plastic. And ooh, look at that, out of stock. So it says it's out of stock there. That's your key. If Rock Auto doesn't have it, that's your key. You're either going to have a hard time finding it, or if you do find it, you're going to pay out the ass for it. So that's a little bit of a warning sign. Not necessarily a deal breaker, but let's see if we can find a core support. I don't see the core support listed. Sometimes you can if they're like removable. You might have to go to another site. There's a site, don't quote me at the moment. I don't know what it's called. Velcor told me about it. He does a lot of rebuilds, and it's where he said he buys a lot of his body pieces. Usually stuff that doesn't just come apart. That they have to cut apart a vehicle to give you pieces for. And he said you can get a lot of stuff there. If the core support's not listed, it's more than likely welded on. And so then you'd have to cut and re-weld another one in. I can't tell from these pictures how bad that might be. But like these little tabs here by the lights. You see that one's straight here. This one's bent. You can bend that back out. Like, I'm not seeing a lot right there that's a big warning sign. I'm worried about that center support or whatever that is. It looks bent to me, and they don't give us a very good side angle. I'd almost guarantee, because if you look right there above, like where it starts coming up, there's looks like, I don't know, a bolt or something, and then there's a noticeable crease right there where it bends. So yeah, that looks bent to me. So, and that's probably why the hood won't open, because it's under some kind of pressure. So yeah, we're gonna have trouble with that, and I don't see that support listed. Any radiator support? Let me see. Oh, okay, so they're calling it a radiator support. It still doesn't have that bar on it, but again, that's not a complete deal breaker. But that radiator support, assuming that that's somehow bent and you need it, is $100, and it's probably sizable, so you're going to pay some extra shipping on that. But so that's like what, a couple $100 for the headlights, the core support, I'm going to call it, and then you need the grill. Okay, wait, was that grill molding right underneath that? Okay, here's some of the grill molding. Center bar. Yeah, that's the big one that goes across. Okay, that might be enough. So, okay, yeah, here we go. Somehow they got it. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with this other piece is, but yeah, there we go. We got one really nice and then one for $34.99. So that's a good deal. You could easily get that and get this vehicle together for relatively cheap, I think, depending on whether or not it goes for the right price. So, having looked at that one, I'm running long on this because I talk a lot. So let's look at some other ones. Let's look at like this Hyundai. It runs and drives. We can see that here. I looked at this one and I put it on my watch list for a reason. Where's it say the damage is? The front end. We don't see a lot of that. So it's a rusty Hyundai Elantra. Ooh, it's a manual. Always a bonus. Engine looks pretty good. It's got 114,000 miles. Yeah, this thing doesn't look hateful. And I'm guessing it's this crease. Let me zoom in here. Come on, computer. There's a little crease and some damage on the bumper right there. There's a small dent in the fender. That can easily be fixed. We do have some rust in some areas. Typical fender areas. Rear wheel well. Kind of where the bumper meets the trunk quarter panel section. But that's all pretty normal. And this thing is not even bid on yet. Nobody's bid on this vehicle at all. It's a 2002. Estimated retail value $1,400. this is going to be one of those ones you could catch for a pretty low bid. Unless some dealer's looking for something like real quick and easy to flip. Like, these are the cars that I like on Copart because they're older, people aren't chasing after them. If you want to buy the newer stuff, or like, God forbid, a Jeep Wrangler of any year, those things go skyrocketing on here because you never see Jeeps in a salvage yard. Ever. Because everyone rebuilds them. Everyone. They just disappear. So, okay, that Hyundai, that's going to be a good deal for somebody. It literally needs nothing. I promise you, I could buy that car and drive it straight to the inspection station and it would pass. I guarantee you. And literally tell them I didn't replace anything. The car's just not got enough value. It got in a little wreck and they totaled it out. So that would be a great car for somebody. Okay, so let's go on to this Jeep. I had the Liberty. That was my first Copart car. If you caught that video, well, it's not really a video. It's more pictures because I didn't have the channel yet. But we know we need a fender. On the Liberties, I can tell you that the grill, that frickin' grill right there, is expensive. I got lucky on mine and found a guy that had an extra one that he didn't use. And I got mine cheap. It was a miracle. Otherwise, that was going to cost me a pretty penny. The bumper looks completely reusable. I actually have that little parking light or whatever that is. And I might even have that turn signal. I don't know. I have a turn signal from my rebuild that I still held on to. But the bigger picture here is this is a starts. They call it engine start program. I don't know why. It means the engine starts, it turns on, and it stays running. Okay, the reason why it's not run and drive is obviously this damage here on the wheel. Now, it hit something hard. You can see that. But what we can diagnose from this is that something, another car perhaps, came in from the side, kind of like T-bone style, and hit them the wheel area and the fender and all this that you see. The big thing about these is, like, the Acadia was like this, right? And it was a gamble. I took it, and luckily it turned out okay. But the issue you run into here on these kind of buys is you don't know what broke without going down there and inspecting it, which I always recommend you go down and inspect a vehicle. I usually don't, but I pour through things like this, like I'm doing now, pretty well. So the big issue here is, did something puncture the transmission, right? Is there damage to the transmission? Did the axle poke something, break something? Is it, maybe it's cracked, it's just got a leak? Like, who knows? All the pictures are all over their lot, so you can't go by what the ground looks like. It could be, you know, damaged and you not know. So you really got to go down and look at these. But assuming that it's just like a lower control arm, or maybe like a tie rod or something broke, which this I don't know, but assuming it's something like that, it's going to be a pretty easy fix. And the fact that the headlights and the front end on this are actually pretty good might be worth the gamble. It's a 2007. It's got 128,000 miles. That's not completely hateful. That would be a pretty good rebuild. Next up, this one's kind of rough, and I put this on here because you don't see these coming up very often. It's a F250. It's a 2000. It's a diesel, 7.3 liter. So that's super great. It's got a shit ton of miles, but most diesels do. The things are tanks. We all know that. But it's got a kind of high bid, and that's number one because it's a diesel truck. But number two, I'm looking at this damage. And if you look at, where's that one? Here's the front. You can see the frame rails are straight. You can see this, I don't know, the other car The Colorado called that a radiator support. I'm calling it the core support. You can see where the headlight wires mount, or the headlights mount, and the wires come through here on the passenger, on the driver's side. Is fine. Then you look over here at the passenger side and you can see what looks like the horns there, and this thing is bent. We go back over here to a little bit of a side view. It's crushed in pretty bad. Now, this is still completely fixable, but this fender mount, whatever area you want to call that, of the doghouse, that upper support, is gonna need replaced more than likely because it's been pushed in. It doesn't look completely bent too bad. You might be able to pull that, but the other issue here, and everything looks okay, but that doesn't mean anything, is the strut mount. The strut mount, you can see the strut there. And it looks like a leaf spring with that. So I'm not 100% sure. You might be okay on this one as far as the mounting location and alignment. That would be your big worry. If the strut tower has moved, who is it, Glass Elevator, went through this. He's still kind of going through it with a Mustang that he bought like a year ago. Dude is dedicated on getting this thing back on the road. But he bought a Mustang with similar damage, and it had damaged that fender support that I'm calling it, and it needed completely replaced. He's since done that, but it had moved the strut tower. So, I mean, you'd never get a good alignment out of that car. It's always going to drive funny. So, that's something to look into there. That kind of gets back into my other video of, if you want to buy a salvage car, what can you do? What do you know how to do? Can you weld that panel in? Can you cut that out, weld in a new panel, line everything back up and be good? If so, this might be a good deal. You do need a new hood. It looks like that area right here is bent down, but again, not necessarily a deal breaker. It's a diesel. It would sell for some money if you got it back up in decent shape. Back to a cheap option. Let's go on this Buick Park Avenue. Don't know why I put this one on here. Let's find out. Probably because there's not much damage. It says front end. The only thing I can see is the damage on the fender there. It even looks like the door would theoretically open and close. It runs and drives. It's got 161,000 miles. The rear quarters look good. Some scuffs on the bumper. That's to be expected. Leather interior. Something missing there on the seat. Maybe that's the electric controls for the seat. Don't know. The interior doesn't look too bad. It's not beat up. It's not damaged. It's got the 3800 Series 2 supercharged. That's why I put this on here. Here's my thing. The supercharger doesn't have a belt on it. That could mean nothing, but it could mean everything. I've seen some stuff on forums. I looked up. Some people say you should be okay. Some people don't advise driving like this for long without the supercharger running. I've never had a supercharged car. I'm not a motor expert. I don't know. But to me, that looks fishy, because if you look at the other pulley opposite the serpentine pulley, what would be for the back side of the flat on the belt, it's got a lot of rust on it. I mean, surfaced rust, but it's got a lot of rust. So it might have been like that for a while. It says it runs and drives so the engine starts, but I don't know how it would drive. So you might have an issue with the supercharger, you might not. But the body and everything's good. In this condition, you need a fender. And it looked like the driver's or the passenger side rear tire is flat. It could be good. It could just need air. Who knows? But okay, so tire, the rims look good. That supercharger worries me though, so that's something to watch out for. Look at those details, guys. If you know cars a little bit, or you got a buddy that knows cars pretty well, and you're thinking about buying something, have somebody look at it. Send them a link. Jay, check this out. Do you see anything that sticks out that's horrible, about this car that I'm looking at? So here's a Chevy HHR. Don't know why I put this on here. The hood's good. The bumper's good. The headlights are good. The fender is SOL. Looks like... Why is that? Oh no, there's a bigger problem here. We're all sunk in on this side. And they put the spare on it, and if you look, let me do the HD if anyone's still watching this video. If you look at that angle on the wheel, it's been hit in. So this is another one like the Jeep. There is something seriously wrong underneath that wheel. They more than likely just slapped on the spare to be able to tow it onto like a flatbed or whatever the fuck to make it roll. But again, if the transmission's not damaged, if it's just suspension stuff that's broke there, it should be completely fixable. I mean, the fender doesn't even look that bad. It just looks like they hit the wheel. The door we can see here. Yeah. See, yeah, they've marked some stuff. You'll see these markings from the insurance company. Sometimes they mark shit that doesn't need to be replaced, guys. I mean, they're talking about taking it back to full 100% quality. Like, you don't have to replace everything with a mark on it. Like, that the passenger rear door looks fine. You could fix that. The passenger driver's door might be fixable. I mean, it depends on how your PDR skills are with that dent that's in that body part where the fender flare is. But it's that damage to the wheel that worries me. So this would be something I would have to go down there, get underneath it, and see what was going on there. But those are things to watch out for. Here is a 2011 Kia Soul. What's going on here? Front end damage. Okay, so we need a hood. That's a funny shaped hood. Interesting thing, funny shaped hoods usually cost money. Now, I think the body styles on the Kia Souls are all pretty much the same. You might be able to find one at a junkyard, but we definitely need a fender. The scary thing about this is, well, it's not scary, but you can kind of see under here the frame rail straight. There's the bumper support under there, the corner, that's good. So it hit right here, like in this area. Something. The headlight, I can see some cracking, or let's just call it needs a new one. It's probably got broken mounts on it. That lower part of the bumper, at the very least, we need that green part. It might come in two sections, it might not. But we need the bumper cover, and we need the headlight, we need the fender for sure. It does run and drive, they say. And when they say drive, God, there's so much scattered information in this video. When they say drive, what they mean is they rolled it back and forth. This means they could move it forward and move it in reverse. This does not mean that there's not a gear slipping or anything like that. At Copart, you just hope that something doesn't have transmission problems, because there is no way for you to check, and they are not going to let you test drive it. But this, assuming that these parts, the hood, whatever, the fender, hopefully couldn't be that expensive, but the rest of it, it doesn't look that bad. If you could get the replacement parts for enough, and everything else looks good on the car. I don't see any problems anywhere else. The inside looks like a automatic. Yeah, it's automatic. The inside's pretty clean. The engine bay's a little dirty. Dirty's not necessarily bad, other than the actual physical dirt. It doesn't look that bad. Like, I don't see a bunch of oil everywhere. The heat shield over the headers still looks good. Radiator cap is OEM still. All the clips and everything are here. Let's just go out on a limb and say that this looks normal. That might even be a sticker from the replacement of a timing belt. Yes! Here's a good point. 35 minutes into the video. There is a sticker on the timing belt cover that's, you can barely make it out on this. In person you could see it, but there's a line there. There's some shit scratched on there. It looks like maybe 150K, maybe. Or, yeah, oh shit, this thing's got almost 300,000 miles. Anyhow, yes, it's had a timing belt done. It looks like, based on that information, it's probably due for another one, based on the mileage. But that's something to look for. A lot of shops do that. So you can tell this thing has probably been maintained pretty well, especially since it's drove 300,000 miles and it's in pretty good shape considering. So that would be a good buy. That'd be something that if I was in the market, I would definitely bid on. I think we've hit everything. Last one here on the longest video ever. Baller on a budget. Alright guys, it's a Chrysler 300 Touring. It's a 2006. Now I gotta say, like, I know everybody laughs at these things and whatnot. I've wanted one. I still want one. I don't have one yet, but I freaking want one. What are they calling damage? They're calling rear end. Oh, guys, come on. Look. Look at this. This is the shit that I'm talking about. They marked this. They marked this rear bumper. Let me get in on the HD. Yeah, it's got some creases over there. Somebody tapped this, and it says there, noise driving. So maybe the muffler or something's loose. We can see that there's an electrical connector hanging there. You can see it better in this picture. Hanging there, so we don't know what that is. This is, okay, there's a bend to that piece of trim over the wheel arch there. Maybe it looks like a spot of rust. That would be easily fixable. It's just surface rust. The door's sitting like that. I'm going to assume, since there's no damage there, that that's probably that they just didn't fully shut the door from the inspection and the pictures that they were taking. The cloth top has seen better days, but it looks like it should be able to be cleaned up. Engine bay. Looks pretty good. Don't see anything crazy. Looks like most everything's here. A little dusty, but all in all, normal. Can't really see too much as far as details go, but everything looks good. 152,000 miles. Chips and dents. Looks like maybe some hail damage on the hood. Maybe. I think I see one there. But yeah, chips and dents on the hood. I don't know why. They must have had full coverage and were claiming every little thing. This is what I'm talking about. They marked this because they were trying to find stuff to total this thing out. They didn't want to repair it. And by that I mean the insurance company. They do this all the time. That's why Copart's in business. We didn't talk a lot about airbags. I don't think any of these vehicles, I'd have to go back and look. Don't believe any of these vehicles had airbags